Our new song is available for pre-order at getcominghome.com. Check it out. Download iTunes to pre-order and support our work. You want to read that headline, Elaad?
Trump edges ahead of Harris in new national Quinnipiac poll.
There was this headline a while ago, and it said something like Harris edges Trump in latest political poll or whatever, and everyone was like, please never write that again. That's just too close. We don't want to hear that.
This grin on Trump's face.
Yeah. Well, so this new Quinnipiac poll is actually rather shocking for this reason. In May, Biden was up 3. Harris comes in. In August, Harris is up 2. And as of September, Trump is now up 1 in the same poll. So it's actually really, really interesting seeing this breakdown here. Daily News says that so Trump is up 1 as long as Jill Stein is in the race. They say Trump is ahead of Harris 48-47 in a new national Quinnipiac poll of the race for the White House. The survey, which was dead even when measured as a head-to-head contest, comes as a rare piece of good news for Trump. So 41 days before the election, is it really 41 now?
I believe so. I mean, I think there's only like 30 IRL episodes until the election.
30.
I think early voting starts in many of the swing states,
started.
even prior to that.
It's in PA now.
Okay, yeah.
So this is huge. When you pull up the battleground states here, this is the national average. Let's pull up the national average, 2.1. And then Trump in the battlegrounds. Trump is up 0.2 in aggregate in the battleground states. If we are to assume that the same bias exists like it did in 2016 and 2020, then Trump is up in every battleground state by about 3 or 4 points, because the battleground bias in 16 and 17 was 4 to 7 points, depending on the polls. In the national average, it was 3 to 5, and Harris is up 2.1. So this is massive. And take a look at this. Quinnipiac, when listed by RCP, they put tie. They don't even give him the +1. Jill Stein is absolutely running, and so is Chase Oliver. That is, Trump is up 1 in this poll, not even giving it to him.
And the Democrats have made a serious effort in certain states to keep Jill Stein off the ballot, which I find fascinating. I think, and you'd have to go through each poll to be careful, but maybe if it's just a direct matchup between her and Trump, she has an edge within the margin of error in some places. But I think that's pretty inaccurate considering how many places have third-party candidates.
Well, this is big. I think one of the reasons why Trump won't do this next debate and why Kamala is begging for it is because they know her internals are bad. We went over that commercial the other day where Sam Elliott was like, "What are you waiting for? Is it the woman thing? Well, it's time to get over that." But people aren't getting over it. I think that's a huge issue for many people in America.
I think she hasn't even won over all of the Democrats that she needs, let alone independents or, they keep trying to make it okay for Republicans to vote for her. I don't know if you guys saw the story, but there were climate activists who were protesting outside her home in Brentwood in California. And in response, she put up a tweet that was something like, "We will make the environment better and full of priorities and joy and hope and opportunity." Like just buzzwords, fluff, nothing. And it irritated the activists because they have specifically been asking her to be direct and specific in what her promises are. They want concrete goals and measurable values that she plans to carry out, and she won't give it to them. And it's the same thing with the voters that Biden faced during the primary, who were saying our number one issue is Israel-Palestine. If you do not secure or promise a ceasefire or whatever it was, we are not coming to the polls. I think the idea that they are now so far ahead, all the Democrats are on lock, that they need to convert, Mormons in Arizona is sort of it's a fantasy.
I mean, this race, interestingly, is not even between Trump and Harris, if you really think about it. This is a race between Trump and the unelected junta that is running the country.
Yeah.
And I say that because it's become really clear now that the Democrats aren't running a candidate in the normal sense. Normally, the candidate becomes the head of the party. They direct the affairs of the party. We kind of assumed that was true of Clinton. It was true. It was true of Carter, obviously further back, Truman, and so on. But starting with Biden, the Democrats decided, let's do things somewhat differently. We have an inner group that runs the country. Biden doesn't even need to win the primary. We just move him to the front, and he takes office. It's under the understanding that he's our man. He's in the canoe. He's the face of the canoe, but he's not steering the canoe. And we reserve the right to move him out at any time, and he has to go kind of willingly. And interestingly, if you think that that was just like a one-time deal for Biden because Biden was in a unique position, he has dementia and so on, it turns out that they made exactly the same deal with Kamala Harris. No primary. And that means that we chose you. We moved you to the front of the line. We gave you the nomination. If now you make it across the finish line, you're going to do what we say. And we reserve the right to swap you out whenever we feel like it. And you have to go smiling. So what that means really is that the Democrats are no longer running candidates in the normal sense. They're basically telling the American people, we've got an insider gang, and we are going to run the country, and we're going to put a front person out there, and that's going to be the figurehead president. Is there any other way to see it?
For a political party that talks so much about democracy, it is really ironic that they pull the rug from under Joe Biden in the primary just to appoint somebody who won, again, no primary votes.
This Quinnipiac poll is hilarious. Check this out. They say, regardless of how you keep in mind this whole time I'm reading these things, that Trump is ahead of Harris by 1 point. Chase Oliver and Jill Stein are absolutely in this race. And when you factor in the full race, Trump is ahead by 1 point nationally. Now listen to this. Regardless of how you intend to vote, who do you think has higher ethical standards? Total, 43% said Trump, 51% said Harris. Regardless of how you intend to vote, who do you think cares more about the needs and the problems of people like you? 49% said Trump and 48% said Harris. Regardless of how you intend to vote, who do you think is more honest? 46% Trump, 48% said Harris. And they said, regardless of how you intend to vote, who do you think would do a better job handling the economy? 52 for Trump, 45 for Harris. Handling immigration, 53 for Trump, 45 for Harris. Preserving democracy, 47 for Trump and 50 for Harris. And handling abortion, 41 for Trump, 54 for Harris. Handling gun violence, Harris has the lead. Handling a crisis in the country, Trump has the lead. The reason I'm going through these, they don't care about honesty. They don't care about ethics. They care about whether or not you're going to be good on the economy for them. That's it. So when you can see that people are like, oh, Kamala's way more ethical and more honest, but Trump's better on the economy and immigration, so I'm voting for him. It doesn't matter. And I think Kamala's favorability is actually better than Trump's in this. People are outright like, I don't like Trump. He's not an honest guy, but he's going to make me some money.
I think it's the myth of would you have a beer with them, right? I mean, I think people would want to have a beer with Donald Trump just to ask him lots of questions. But the reality is, I think we're past the point of feeling like our politician has to come to our Christmas party or to our summer barbecue. I think people feel desperate enough where they're like, I don't know that I would personally be friends with this person, but if they are effective on the world stage and if they can handle domestic issues, especially as things become more acute, then that's who I want there.
Here's the best part of the poll. Does Taylor Swift's endorsement of Kamala Harris make you more enthusiastic about Harris's candidacy or less enthusiastic about Harris's candidacy, or it doesn't make a difference? 9% said more enthusiastic. Congratulations. 13% said less enthusiastic. Uh-oh. And 76% didn't care. But that means there is a greater negative impact on Kamala Harris because of Taylor Swift's endorsement.
It's so funny.
The reverse endorsement, I guess.
It's sabotage.
Yeah.
I mean, how are we supposed to think about? How do we explain this? This is a little strange.
What's your theory?
I don't have a theory.
I think people don't want celebrities in politics. I think there is a political fatigue and they want entertainment to be entertaining and to have a break because it's been essentially a decade of intensifying divisive politics.
But also, sorry, just
no, go ahead.
Elon Musk's endorsement had a similar backfire on Trump. 13% are more enthusiastic, but 21% are less enthusiastic because he endorsed Donald Trump. That one's absolutely.
I think celebrities are generally less beloved now than they've been in the past 50 years. And I think gaining some sort of prominence is more attainable for the average Joe more than ever. So I think it unifies people and the celebrities a little bit more. This populist zeal that's taken over, this anti-rich, anti-celebrity strain that's kind of taken over. It makes sense why some people would say like, oh, that's who you want? Like, yeah, I'm just going to be a contrarian and do the opposite.
Do you think any of it has to do with the influencer economy? Like now, basically anyone can be famous, but I don't care, what the girl who started a pretty successful blog that I went to college with, she's a nice lady. I don't really care how she's voting. Like, I think it dulls the shine of celebrity endorsements because everyone kind of has a platform.
Yeah. Isn't it beneath you as a celebrity to even care about this? Don't get involved in our petty politics.
I wish it was trendy to stay out of politics.
73% of people say they're at least somewhat or very concerned that there will be political violence following the outcome of the 2024 election.
And I think that sounds about right. I mean, considering what we've seen the past 5 years, ever since really the George Floyd riots, I think we've been seeing some parallels with some protests we've seen coming up that hasn't reached the same level of violence. But then obviously the 2 assassination attempts, January 6th, I think people have a reason to be concerned about political violence moving forward.
Democrats, 90% of Democrats are concerned that there will be violence. Much less, it's 59% of Republicans. So
The
Democrats, they know their neighbors.
They've been hyped up aggressively about the January 6th stuff. CNN, MSNBC is constantly drilling them with January 6th stuff, fear-mongering. So I think that's why the Democrats are so high.
Well, I think the added factor is that Democrats get information only from other Democrats.
Yep.
And that's not true of our side. So, for example, if you or I were asked to summarize, let's just say what Rachel Maddow believed, we could do it. We have a pretty good idea of how she thinks. We could state her opinion in a manner that would make her go, yeah, that's what I think. But I don't think she could state our opinion in the manner that we think. She would do a caricature of it.
Well, hold on. If you were in a private closed room, Chatham House rules, Rachel Maddow would absolutely correctly nail down Tucker Carlson's worldview and opinions. And then once the camera turns on, she'd say he's a neo-Nazi white supremacist.
Oh, I see what you mean. You're saying
Right.
that she has the IQ to be able to do it, but she is
does know
posturing.
better. Yeah.
She's...
It's the more run-of-the-mill default libs who don't know. And so you're more likely to find, because this is actually true, when you look at the data, this is actually interesting. Let me pull up the favorability on someone, say, Tim Walz, because Republicans should dislike the guy, right? Let me see about the favorability.
Why would Republicans dislike him? He has the camo hat.
That's right. You know,
What?
that changes everything.
He's a white Midwestern man. They
Let's
must
see,
like
Joe
him.
Biden handling the
kidding?
president. Here we go.
He was a
Is your opinion of Tim Walz favorable, unfavorable, or haven't you heard enough about him? Which is a weird way to phrase it. And Republicans say 4% favorable, 68% unfavorable, 27% haven't heard enough. Republicans will be like, I don't know enough about the guy. What do you think about? What do you think it's going to look like for Democrats and J.D. Vance? How do you feel about J.D. Vance? Democrats say 4% favorable, 87% unfavorable, 9% haven't heard enough. Because Democrats are just so dang sure of themselves. And Republicans are like, well, I need to know more. Republicans are more likely to say, I need to check myself and see what he's got to say. Democrats, they're not listening to J.D. Vance. They don't know what he has to say. They're just watching MSNBC and listening to what Rachel Maddow has to say.
It feels like evidence of 2 different cultures that are in America. They have different values, they have different morals, they have very different ways of thinking. And I find that to be the most concerning part. It's very difficult to form a cohesive society if you continue to drift farther and farther apart, where even the common language, even the common way of interpreting news and information is just wildly different.
They'll tar and feather J.D. Vance is weird and call it a day.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.